In this video, I'm going to reveal exactly how I make $36,182 a month posting faceless YouTube shorts. But before I show you how to do this, I need to show you why you should listen to what I'm going to teach you in this video. First off, I actually do this business model myself. You can see here on my Google AdSense that in the last month across all my channels, I made $36,182.72. And the month before, I made $29,371.88. I can even refresh this site and you can still see that this is actually how much I make from this business model. This here is one of my faceless channels that just in the last 28 days has generated me over $10,000, and this one channel consistently makes me hundreds of dollars every single day. I've never shown my face on any video, so if you watch YouTube Shorts at all, there's a decent chance you've seen one of my channels and had no idea it was run by me or somebody from my team. However, I do need to show you why this is literally the best time to start YouTube Shorts and why this is such a big opportunity right now, and it's basically two things. First, YouTube Shorts is not saturated. It's actually the lowest competition it's been in the last 3 years. On Google Trends, the amount of people searching up YouTube automation and searching up faceless YouTube is at an all-time low, down from its peak back here in 2023, all the way up until about last summer in 2025. At that point, it's been downhill ever since, and you can see right now we are at the lowest point it has been in the last 5 years for people wanting to start faceless YouTube, which is why it annoys me so much when I hear people saying that YouTube Shorts is saturated, because it is not. There are literally less people starting this right now than there have been in the last couple years. But on top of that, the other reason why it's the best time to start YouTube Shorts is that the RPMs, which is what you get paid per 1,000 views, are at a record high and are increasing every single month. So in this video, I'm going to break down everything for free, from how to actually pick the right niche, to how to write and edit viral shorts, and even how much these videos can make once they are uploaded. And honestly, a lot of what I'm about to show you isn't explained like this anywhere else. Okay, so the first thing is, how does this even make money? Because a lot of the people that get into this don't really understand the fundamentals, and then they're confused later about why some videos with basically the same views pay completely different amounts. Basically, what's happening is advertisers are paying YouTube to run ads in between the shorts people are scrolling through, and then YouTube splits that money with whoever made those videos. And there's two ways to do this. You either show your face, which is what most people picture when they think of a YouTuber, or you go faceless, which is what I do. But regardless of whether you go faced or faceless, the thing that actually decides how much you make is this number called RPM, your revenue per 1,000 views. And I think this is the bit people kind of skip past, but it matters more than almost anything else here. You need to understand that RPM isn't the same for everyone. It changes completely depending on who's actually watching your videos, because advertisers aren't paying for more views. They're paying for people who might go buy whatever they're selling. So on a channel mostly watched by adults in America, that will get paid way more per 1,000 views than one mostly watched by kids anywhere else in the world, simply because one of those audiences has money to spend and the other one doesn't. Across my own channels, I'm sitting anywhere from 20 to 40 cents per 1,000 views, and that variation comes down almost entirely to the audience that the channel's built up on. The first real decision you have to make, and honestly probably the one that matters the most out of everything, is figuring out what the channel's even about. This kind of sets your ceiling before you've posted a single video, so it's worth actually thinking about instead of rushing this through. There's roughly 3 types of channels you can run. For starters, there's clipping, which is just taking footage from big creators, shows or podcasts and posting it. And you can make money from these through platforms like Warp, but it's not a very long-term thing because the creator you're posting about could lose their popularity overnight and take your channel's views down with them. Then there's trend channels, so Reddit stories, rare photos, in my opinion ranking, and that kind of thing. These can explode really fast, but they die just as fast too. And if you're starting from literally nothing, this is actually where I tell you to begin, because you'll figure out what a video that actually goes viral looks like way quicker here than you would somewhere else. And then the third one's more long-term niches. Stuff like history, animation, commentary, education, gaming, just stuff that's going to matter in like 3 years. These take longer to build as it's more work, but they compound and keep paying you for years instead of just spiking once and disappearing. What I'd recommend is starting a trend channel and a long-term channel at the same time. So that way you've got something bringing in money while you're learning and something else that keeps paying you way down the line. And whatever you pick, the one thing you really can't do is keep switching. You can't post football content one day, anime the next, and then crime the day after. Because you've told YouTube basically nothing about who to show your content to. And you've told the people who liked the first video that you're not really for them. So every switch is kind of starting over. That's why the most important thing about niche selection isn't necessarily what niche you chose, is that you pick something and actually stick to it. But don't get me wrong, because picking wrong is expensive too. And not because you lose money, it's more that you don't find out you picked wrong for a couple months, and by then you've already built a bunch of stuff around it. So if you want a second opinion on whatever you're thinking of doing before you actually commit, there's a free community I run with over 1,000 people in there called the Shorts Academy. I'll link it in the description, and people just post what they're considering in there before they commit to it, and either me or someone else in the community will just tell you straight up if it's a bad pick. Once your niche is sorted though, the next bit's honestly the easiest part, so let's get it out of the way. You could either create a brand new account, which is what I'm doing right now, or you could use an aged account, which is one that's just been sitting around for years and can sometimes look more trustworthy to YouTube, or you could buy a pre-monetized channel, which is a channel that's already met the requirements to earn straight away. But I'll be honest with you, on the pre-monetized channels, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, I've bought ones that have worked great and I've made real money from them from day one, but I've also seen people buy one that got artificially boosted before it was sold to them, and then it ends up shadow banned or terminated within weeks. So if you're just starting out, I probably wouldn't recommend starting with a pre-monetized channel if you don't know what you're doing. For the actual channel, just pick a simple name, create or find a simple profile picture, and throw up a banner if you want. But honestly, I don't even bother with the banner most of the time, as it doesn't really make any difference. The last thing you need to do here is make sure all three of these are enabled, and make sure the recovery email and phone on your account are up to date. These both take like 2 minutes, and it'll save you if anything ever compromises your channel. But now that your channel's live, it's time to put something on it. Okay, so finding a video to actually make. And I think this is the bit that trips people up the most, because they assume you need to find some totally original idea that nobody's ever had, and you really don't. But the truth is, all you need is to know where to look for one. So this video here got 13 million views, and it's based on a real life horror game that was trending on social media at the time. And this had already blown up on other platforms, and I'd actually seen it on my own personal account on TikTok before I ever saw it on Shorts. So when I found this version made by someone else in Shorts that had already gone viral, I used it as my proof of concept. And that's kind of the whole point of this method. I'm not sitting here trying to invent something that nobody's seen before. I'm just looking for proof people already want this exact thing, and then I go make my own, better version of it. So what I actually did was I pulled a bunch of different clips and angles of this trend from TikTok, Instagram, X, pretty much wherever I could find decent footage of people playing it. And then there's 2 rules I use here. First, I typically never take a clip from YouTube itself, as the original creator can see it pop up in their own copyright dashboard here, and then strike you with literally just 1 click. And then if you get 3 strikes, your channel's terminated. And that's how people lose whole channels overnight without even realizing what happened. So if I find something good on TikTok or Instagram, I still check whether they've also posted it to YouTube, and then if they have, I leave it and find something else. The second rule I use is the mute test. So what I'll do is I'll play the clip with no sound, and if it doesn't hold my attention with the audio off, it's not going to hold anyone else's either, so I don't use it. Now, every one of the clips I found had someone else's caption on them, because that's just how they were originally posted. So what I actually do is run each of them through a site called lazy.ai, which strips the text off, and then I use the same site to enhance the quality as well. Now, this isn't sponsored, by the way. It's genuinely just the first tool I tell anyone posting shorts to get, regardless of what niche they're in. It's like $15 a month, and it's the difference between a clip that obviously looks stolen and one that looks like it's actually yours and high quality. Also, if this feels like stealing content, it's actually not, and YouTube recognized this and calls it transformative content. It's also what makes the difference between a channel that gets monetized and one that runs into problems down the line. But none of the clips I chose are actually what made this video get 13 million views. Now, I think this is honestly the part that matters more than everything else in this video combined so far. So if you've been like half watching up to now on 2x speed, this is where I'd actually start to pay attention. Your script is your video. So a badly edited video with a great script will always beat a beautifully edited video with a weak script. And in my opinion, if there's one skill in this whole business worth actually getting good at, it's script writing. So before I even start writing the script, there's 2 things I need to know. What's actually interesting in the clip, and what's the payoff, which is the answer to the video. For this one, the interesting bit is that it's a real life horror game, there's a blindfolded person, and everyone else is hiding. And then the payoff is the line that closes the video, and it's that staying quiet is way scarier than it sounds. Once I got those, I write the hook first. So these friends, which is creating a story, decided to play a real life horror game. And that's just the one simple line intro, and all it's doing is setting up the story to be strange enough and create enough questions in the viewer's mind that they want to know more. So instead of running straight through though, I now jump straight to the payoff because it's a lot easier to build towards an ending you've already written than to just like write forward and hope you end somewhere good. So the payoff for this one is, and if the stick touches you, you're eliminated, which is also creating a consequence, and which turns out to be way scarier than it sounds. Super simple. Now that I've got the start and the end, all I need to do now is just fill in the middle to get it from A to B. So I want to create a bit of context to the story, which is they have to hide from the blindfolded killer, but the problem is the killer moves towards any sound they hear. So basically what the script is it's the hook, and then this here, they have to hide from the blindfolded killer, is the context. And then from there, you want to create a problem. And then you got stakes and your payoff. And then now if you put it all together, this is the script of a video that got 13 million views. These friends decided to play a real life horror game. They have to hide from the blindfolded killer, but the problem is the killer moves towards any sound they hear. And if the stick touches you, you're eliminated, which turns out to be way scarier than it sounds. So there's a hook, there's context, there's a problem, there's a consequence, and then there's the payoff. And I know that sounds so simple when I lay it out like that, but it is simple. And once you've written like 50 of these, it's the same formula every time with just different stories on top. Now for script writing, there's 2 rules I have, and honestly, these took me the longest time to actually learn. First, if you can take something out of the story and it still works, take it out. Whether it's a word, a sentence, or even a whole second, it doesn't matter because short form content is ruthless and anything that isn't actively adding to the video is just another moment that someone can decide to scroll away. Second, if you want to make your video longer, add something genuinely new, but never stretch what's already there. People say the same thing twice in different words just to fill the time, and then they wonder why their attention is so bad in the video. And that's why if you can't find anything new to add, honestly, that's not a length problem. That's the topic telling you it's not strong enough to carry more. And then there's this one thing that I like to do, which almost nobody actually talks about, and it takes like 5 seconds to do. A huge majority of the shorts audience is young, so anywhere from like 10 to 17 years old. So what I actually like to do is copy the script into the lazy readability checker. And what it does is it gives you a score of the video. You want it somewhere around grade 6 to 9 because roughly a 13-year-old should be able to follow the whole video through without having to stop and think. Honestly, the thing I'd actually try if I were you is take a competitor's video that's gone viral, type their script out word for word, highlight where the hook, the build-up, the consequence, and the payoff actually are, and run it through the same checker. What you'll find is that they're all basically sitting in the same grade range. Lengthwise, I'd aim for 20 to 30 seconds, which is roughly 75 to 90 words, but honestly, don't trust the word count. Just read it out loud and time yourself, as that's way more accurate and it tells you straight away if it sounds like a person or something that was written. Alright, so once the script is locked in, you need a voice on it. You could either record this yourself, but what I actually like to do is use an AI like 11 Labs, where you can paste the script in, pick a voice, hit generate, and then a few seconds later, you've got a clean voiceover ready to put into the edit. There are also some sliders over here that are worth playing around with to get the sound actually how you want it. And something else you can do with 11 Labs is clone or create a voice if you want something specific to your channel. And honestly, just as a side note, a human voice is genuinely better if you're building something long term. People start recognizing it, you can control exactly where the emphasis lands, and you can pause right before the reveal. And an AI voice won't usually do that on its own. That being said, I still use AI for most of what I make though, mainly because of how fast it lets me work. Now that we got the voice sorted, it's time to actually make the video. The voiceover goes down first as that sets the pace for everything else. Then it's sequencing the clips against the voiceover. What I mean is the first 3 seconds have to match the first line exactly. So if the line says blindfolded person with a stick and the visual doesn't show that, the viewer gets confused, and that half second of confusion is what makes someone swipe away. Then every second after that has to earn its place, and anything not adding to the video gets cut. If a clip's too short for the section it needs to cover, you can zoom into a different part of it, you could either flip it, or you can cut it into pieces and then spread them across the timeline instead of holding one shot too long. Through the middle, I add small zooms, speed changes, and I try to time the actual cut to land on a sound effect or even a beat in the music rather than wherever the clip happens to end. That makes the whole video feel a lot more intentional than it actually took to put together. And captions are a must, and they should be bold, easy to read, and sitting high enough that it doesn't interfere with like the YouTube Shorts app interface. You also want to add music under the voice and then add a couple sound effects. It's also important that you end the video the second that the payoff lands, as the moment the viewers got their answer, the video was done.
These friends decided to play a real-life horror game where they have to hide from the blindfolded killer. But the problem is, the killer moves toward any sound they hear, and if the stick touches you, you're eliminated, which turns out to be way scarier than it sounds.
And just like that, the edit is done. But there's a couple of upload settings that'll quietly kill a good video if you get these wrong. When uploading, you want to keep the title short and simple. I say under 6 words, you want to keep it curiosity based, but to be honest, your title doesn't matter nearly as much as it does for long form because these videos play automatically the second someone scrolls on it. One thing to actually avoid though is don't do a single hashtag as your whole title, as that's exactly how you get flagged for misleading metadata and terminated. Never mark it made for kids either, as it gets sent to the YouTube Kids app, and it's basically dead there. Tags do basically nothing, and people stress over this all the time for absolutely no reason, so just don't worry about them. And category doesn't matter either, so just leave it at whatever the default is. And on posting, I'd recommend starting out with 1 a day, as a brand new channel posting 5 times a day just looks like a bot, and it'll actually slow you down rather than speed anything up. There's no best time to upload, but I always say somewhere in the afternoon in the Eastern time zone is a decent default until your own audience data unlocks and tells you something more specific. Now, the short that I've been making in this video was uploaded in early 2026, and it ended up getting 13 million views. But views aren't really the point of this video, so let me actually show you how much it made me. So the blindfolded killer video got 13.6 million views, got me 6.7 thousand subscribers, and made me $1,314 US. And I can refresh this right now live so you can see it's not a screenshot. And I can even show you that this is in US dollar and it's not in like some Argentinian pesos or something. So the first thing to look at is this. The video got 13.5 million views, but only 6.7 million of those are actually engaged views. And those are the only ones that pay you anything. So if someone lands on your video and leaves in the first second or two, that view still counts, it still makes your total look good, and it earns you basically nothing. So roughly, whatever your view count says, cut it in half, because that's closer to what you're actually being paid on. So when this video was uploaded, my channel was sitting at a 20 cents per 1,000 engaged views RPM. So that's 6.7 million engaged views times 20 cents a 1,000, and that's roughly how you land on the $1,300 figure. Now, your retention graph is super important because it tells you where people stopped watching your video. It's basically a line that shows what percentage of people are still watching at every second of the video. And I want to quickly show you how to read this because most people will open this, see a funny looking line, and then just close it. So this sharp drop at the start is completely normal, as some people are just going to swipe away instantly no matter what you make, so just ignore that. But then this line staying fairly high and coming down gently over the video means people are sticking around for the video. A bad video doesn't drop once at the start. It drops in these like little steps throughout the video, and every step means there's a group of people deciding right there is where they're bored or confused and they're leaving. So when looking at your retention graph, you want to find these dip and look at what second in your own video is at that point and work out why you lost them. Maybe the voiceover is rambling, maybe the clip doesn't quite match what's being said, and it could even be something like the captions got hard to read for a second. Now this is your viewer engagement, which pretty much means your swipe rate. 3 in 4 people who saw this video stayed to watch, and about a quarter swiped away in the first few seconds. Everyone is always obsessed with the first 3 seconds, and look, they matter, and I'm not saying they don't, but this is a proof that a video doesn't need a perfect swipe rate to still make money. Now one more thing before we move on. If your views look like they're stuck in a view jail or hitting roughly the same number and just stopping there, don't panic and please don't go deleting anything. What it means is YouTube is still testing you at that point, showing your video to a small group and watching how they behave before deciding whether to push it further. Sitting at a view jail for a while just means you're in the middle of their testing phase, not that you're being punished. I've personally had videos sit completely dead for months and then just take off out of nowhere because YouTube did a new test push. AdSense is where you actually get paid. Make sure you put your real name, real address, real bank details, and don't fake any of it. They send you a physical letter in the mail to verify your address, and depending where you live, that can take anywhere from a week to over a month. But you're still earning during that time, but you need $100 minimum to get paid out, and it goes between the 20th and the 25th each month. And ad revenue is really just like the floor level. Once the channel's consistent, you've got sponsors, affiliate stuff, your own products, communities, and just other things sitting on top of ad revenue. Channels can also get sold, and people sometimes pay around 10 to 20 times the monthly profit for a stable one. So something making $2K a month consistently could potentially go for $20,000 to $40,000 if you ever wanted to sell it. And that's honestly the whole point of this video, if I'm being honest with you. What you're building here isn't a video, and it's not even a channel. It's more like a small property that happens to be made of videos instead of bricks. You don't get paid because you showed up and did something that day. You get paid because the thing exists and it's still working. The same way a landlord gets paid whether they spend the day fixing something or did nothing at all. That's kind of what I mean about YouTube Shorts being an asset. The end goal here was never one video that's doing well. It's a handful of channels that keep earning whether you want to work that day or not. And that quietly turns into something that you could sell, hand off, or just let run. Whatever you actually want to do. So that's genuinely the whole boring business of YouTube Shorts. And I'll be honest with you here. None of what I just showed you is complicated. There's no step in there that requires some crazy skill you can't easily learn. But doing it once and doing it every single day for months while you're actually building the thing properly, those are two completely different things. And the part that actually gets people isn't understanding it. It's that you're too close to your own videos to see what's wrong with them. So you end up guessing instead of fixing. And that's usually where a channel just quietly stops. That's the actual reason people end up choosing to work with me one-on-one. Not because the information is different, but because I actually look at your specific videos and see the thing you can't. You get weekly calls, and honestly, the bigger thing is unlimited access to me and my coaches in between whenever you're actually stuck. You also get a channel that's already monetized, so you're guaranteed to make money, whether you're starting from nothing or already have a channel running. But to be honest, I only take a small number of people on at a time, and every application gets read by me personally. Lewis had never made a video before he joined, and had genuinely zero experience. And about 2 months in, he'd crossed 100,000 subscribers, and he got his silver play button. He's now running 2 monetized channels that generate him about $3,000 every single month. Pierrick was sort of the opposite. He already had a channel, but it had been slowly dying for over a year no matter what he tried, so it clearly wasn't an effort problem with him. Once we actually found what was holding his channel back, his views and revenue tripled in under 2 weeks, and his second channel just did 3.4 million views in 48 hours. So whichever one of those sounds more like you, brand new or already stuck, it's genuinely the same process, just a different problem to find first. If you want to work with me one-on-one, the link is the top one in the description, and like I said, I actually read every single application myself. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.